What's up? Hey, guess who's having technical issues? That's right, Adam Witt. So while we wait for him to get on here, let's play a little something that we did a week ago when we were on the show. We were saying we were headed off to the John Wick 4 premiere or red carpet, which wasn't actually red. We'll address that right at the beginning of our video. But while we're waiting for Adam, here's a video of our time at the John Wick Chapter 4 premiere. It doesn't have anything to do with Harrison Ford, but go with us for this. Again, we're waiting on Adam.
Hey, Paul Preston and Adam Witt here from the Movie Guys on the red carpet for John Wick Chapter 4.
And also, by the way, bit of a fraud, this red carpet, it's not red. It's badass color.
Wait a minute. Adam, get on here and say something.
You're live. Can you hear me?
I can.
How annoying. I had to record desktop audio. Hi, audience. Let me explain now the intricacies of adding Soundflower to your computer, which is a virtual mic. And if you are, say, for a client, going to record the audio of your desktop, you need to install this thing called Soundflower, which I immediately realized when I got on here was overtaking my mic and not letting me talk, which ate up the 10 minutes I needed to. You can't.
Sorry.
Can you hear? You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can. I just wanted to give you full form. Go ahead. Take it away.
I was like, oh, great. Now I'm off again. No. But no. So, of course, we start this thing. I've got 10 minutes. I've got these clips I got to process so we can do our thing today. And I spent that 10 minutes trying to figure out this stupid Soundflower thing, which is, I'll tell you what, though. I'll take this as a lesson. I am an expert in my field. As soon as it happened, I knew exactly what it was. I had to quickly look up how to remove it, and then you have to restart the entire computer, which is what happened here.
All
So
right. Here's something I don't want to tell you. I may not have had the volume up on my computer.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. You dick. Are you kidding me?
I just realized that. I played the video while you were working on your shit, and I couldn't hear the video. And then I hit power up, and I was, oh wait, I don't have the audio going through my mic. It's going. We're just.
Oh, that's funny. What
a dick.
A dick. Oh, you're such a rusty rosette. You're such a rusty. Rusty's a bitch.
Savage.
Rusty's a bitch.
Rusty's a bitch.
Oh, that's funny because I was like, I should be able to just toggle between the two. So I just went and checked and everything like that. And I was like, but hey, it easily could have been the problem. It could have been overtaken.
Well, let me try the John Wick video again, and you can use that time to upload the clips we need to do the presumed innocent thing.
Let me do that.
Everybody, enjoy this video from our red carpet trip.
We've had a fun week.
It wasn't red, you'll see, at the John Wick Chapter 4 premiere.
Hey, Paul Preston and Adam Witt here from the Movie Guys on the red carpet for John Wick Chapter 4.
And also, by the way, bit of a fraud, this red carpet, it's not red. It's badass colored.
Your job as a screenwriter is to line up dudes for John Wick to kill. Are you intimidated by previous body counts?
Actually, yes. Not particularly. The marching orders on this was to go bigger on the action, to give the audiences really more of what they wanted, and while also building out the world of John Wick. Is there a John, the loving husband, or is there only John Wick the killer? And at the end, you find out.
I hear Jackie Chan's scripts are story, and then it just says Jackie Chan fight scene. Do you run like that?
Action for my departments. You want to know. You want your prop department to know what kind of weapons you're using. You want the locations guy to know kind of stuff. Like, we try to get it as detailed, but it's always changing. So as it changes, we do upgrades. But yeah, it usually starts with, and then they fight.
He wants to put Keanu on his heels a little bit. He wants to put the stunt guys on the heels so that every strike is not perfect. So he wants them to slip and fall. He wants them to tumble downstairs because he knows that's what grounds this piece, a fantasy piece set in this sort of real world.
How cool is this? So you worked on the music for this movie as well. What is it like to work together? Did you get along?
we get along quite fine. We work together on Lola's music, on her. She has a new record coming out in the next couple of months, which is really phenomenal. But since Lola was 12, I've hired her as a colorist on my scores. She was in the orchestra for Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when she was 15. So it's like, this goes back a long way. But with John Wick 4, we definitely needed some atmospheric, ethereal vocal color work, and Lola handled that, as well as Nowhere to Run, which is, I think it's the largest song feature in this particular film. So
I can't wait to hear that. That's awesome. Yeah. Was it fun?
Totally. It was really punk rock and cool, and it's the single of the soundtrack.
With all these new characters, do you create themes and leitmotifs for each of these characters?
The goal. We certainly tried. I mean, in the end, really with these types of films, because they blur the line, they're like, it's a surreal, hyper, focused world where the characters, they're not quite comic book characters, they're not quite grounded in reality. So because of that, I do feel like these type of characters serve having some motifs underneath them, but not everybody. There's mostly a driving through line throughout the film. This is a film that I've started working on at the end of 2021, and not a day went by that it didn't make me think how out of shape I am.
Is this a good jogging soundtrack?
No, there's a lot of energy to it, so yeah, at least a short jog where you have to stop and cry for a minute and then start up again.
So you play the character of Mia, who has not yet been seen in a John Wick movie. There's a lot of people here whose characters are back. So tell us about Mia.
She's quite closely connected with Donnie Yen's character and Donnie Yen's character of Kane.
I mean, how excited were you for that?
Oh my! So I wasn't precisely sure what the role was or anything when they jetted me in. So to sit down in the makeup show on the first day, and then for Donnie Yen to show up next to me, I can tell you that was a full-on moment. I grew up watching his movies, so I was just like, oh my God. So it was pretty incredible, and he was very humble and kind and generous while I was there, and I was very appreciative of that.
And your character's a friend or a relative of his? So basically what I'm asking is, you know he's not going to kick your ass in the movie. Okay, good.
He doesn't kick my ass in the movie.
Chidi is the right hand of the Marquis. So basically I'm the one that does the dirty work for him.
Do you get your butt kicked?
Not so much.
Do you approach it with class, any villainy, this sort of thing? Gentlemanly. There's a difference between like a gentlemanly type bad guy or like tough guy.
Oh, I'm sweet. I'm the nicest guy on earth.
I trust you.
Yeah. Look, you gotta do what I say, and that's it.
Did you ever know that Keanu could whoop an ass the way he does in these movies when you worked with him?
Thankfully not. Yeah.
So it's good to be on his side, right?
Yeah, you want to be on the other side of the gun that he's holding, that's for sure.
Woo! Good times.
Still uploading stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is incredible. I went yesterday. I couldn't help myself. I'm sitting around.
Yeah.
I'm sitting around here not seeing this movie. Why am I doing that? So I changed it to where I was seeing the movie.
I sat around all
and
yesterday.
I was a much better person. Yeah. I mean, it has the most action I've ever seen in a movie ever. I mean, alone the 2 hours, 50 minutes running time should tell you, but there's a fight at the Osaka Continental. You know, the New York Continental is the home to most of the action in the previous movies. There's a fight in the Osaka Continental. When it was over, I was like, holy shit, that was great. And then they one up themselves for the next hour or 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I'm telling you, I'm loving this trend of the length of these movies. People are complaining. Pshaw. I told you my story when I'm watching The Batman, and of course I love superhero movies, but I'm just adoring The Batman, and we're getting to the point where you start to get that feeling this movie should be kind of wrapping up now or whatever. And I always have this feeling when I go to superhero movies, which is I wish this movie would last forever. And the thing I loved about The Batman is it went for like another hour after I said that. So I'm so excited about this, but I did want to watch the others first to get properly hyped and all that. I wanted to go see it with you, but
yeah, I thought about that, and then I realized, I kind of remember the more or less. It was a character or two I had to reacquaint myself with, but overall, I kind of slid right back into the story. And the good thing is, there's 3 movies of story, so it's kind of like, remember that story? Okay, anyway, 2 hours and 45 minutes of action. You know, so and
Wow.
the
Oh, it's so
pile on
exciting.
of talent. I mean, Hiroyuki Sanada, and Donnie Yen, and this guy Marco Zaror, who we interviewed there at the end, who's
Yeah.
the second to the marquee. Bill Skarsgård, no slouch either, to bring in, and Clancy
God, I
Brown.
didn't even think
It's like,
about
um, he's big fun. He's in it a lot. He does all the fighting. Anytime the marquee wants to, hey, go get these guys, he gets a team and they go off and get in a fight. So he's in it a lot. I was glad we got to talk to him. Yeah, this movie is incredible. I mean, dude,
that.
just one action. You just
So you'll see it again.
oh, I think I have to. Yeah, a lot went down. Like
That's the other thing. You're getting a lot for your money. People are like complaining about the length of movies. I'm like, they're giving you like, it's like the roller coaster. You're like, one loop. You're like, give me 12, and then you go on that ride, and you're like, all right,
yeah, I mean, good lord, that's okay. Well, that's the Osaka. Oh, okay. Well, we got this aerial shot shoot. Oh, wait, here's the car. Oh, and here's the staircase. It's just it never ends. And Maddie Gunner's correct. That overhead room to room shot, chef's kiss. It was fantastic. All right. So, Adam, I see you're still uploading stuff. Let me address Camshaft here, who says, can you explain the process of applying for and getting approved for press on the red carpet for movie premieres? Do they care what the follower count is? What's that?
I said she's talking to the right guy, not me. I
Well,
just follow you around.
Here's the thing. I mean, I've been podcasting since 09, so I have relationships with some PR companies, but
Barely this cool.
this might be the biggest one we got to talk to. We still didn't even get to talk to the big stars like Keanu. I cut that part out of the video, but at the original intro, I was like, we didn't get to talk to Keanu. We didn't get to talk to Lawrence Fishburne. Whatever. Doesn't matter. The people we talked to were awesome. So why?
The atmosphere was awesome. Talking to Tyler Bates. Oh my God. It's so great.
Right. So I always thought on my show, I could get the big people when they're in a not big project. Am I going to get Matt Damon when he does, something like The Bourne Ultimatum? No. But Kate Flannery, was in my garage doing our show when she made an indie film, not for anything with the Oscars or anything else. And then David Krumholtz was on our show when he did an indie. So all these people we kind of can grab them when they do an indie. I don't know how the hell we got John Ottman, who won the Oscar for editing Bohemian Rhapsody. So every once in a while, the bigger ones just kind of fall in my lap. It's people maybe worked at one place, go to another place and say, hey, remember those guys? And maybe they're working on something bigger. So I just tried to get myself acclimated to whatever press firms would have me. And then they do expect a package, of course. Yeah, they want you to go there. They want the coverage. So I got this out, edited and out on opening day. I got a note back from them that said, amazing, thanks, we're going to spread it around. And now with that, we have gotten a pretty decent amount of hits for, what I can expect from our stuff, which is, not getting, Jimmy Kimmel Live type numbers, but we got 800 plus views on the thing and it's growing every day. So that's pretty cool. That's what's up. So do they care what the follower count is? I mean, kind of. I tell them honestly what it is, but I also kind of use terms over the 13 years we've been doing this, we've reached blank. And so that number looks real, as opposed to like this last month we hit. So word everything in your favor. But I would just start the small press companies. If you go to the movie guys,
you see a lot of cool. We saw a lot of cool indies and stuff too, which is like appealing to us, even though they're not like the big movies. It's like, well, but we want to find out from these people, how'd you get your movie made and all, so we're pretty excitable also.
So. I mean, the indie film or somethingguys.net right now, right on the homepage is an indie that was a short film at Holly Shorts Film Festival. And so we talked to the director, and it turns out Ezekiel Bridges is in that, and Ezekiel Bridges is Beau Bridges' son. So he kind of is a little savvy and knows a lot of stuff, but I don't know how often he's going out and doing interviews, so it was a thrill to talk to him, and he was really nice. And there was a young girl in that film as well who had to be like 12 or 13 or something like that. So she was charming and just happy to be there. So you get a lot of that too. The indie film stories about what it takes, what went wrong, how to get to maybe what'd you fight, who'd you have to like, who'd you have to go up against to get the thing to happen. I mean, Adam always says the film is really hard to make. So when you make a crap one, still go easy on him. It's so hard to just get it done.
Oh God, yeah.
So anyway, so don't discount talking to indie folks. Again, you'll find a ton of them on themovieguys.net, and it's always an interesting interview. I set up at the Pasadena Film Festival once and just interviewed like 7 or 8 different filmmakers, as they were. You got a press pass there. Get a press pass for a film festival.
Oh,
absolutely do that and go
so
there.
Everybody wants to be interviewed, and you can put together a package like this, and then you're creating content that's like, here's what I'm doing. So
yeah, and we went to the Phoenix Film
they
Festival.
love it.
Did that 9 years ago. I'm going back there this weekend, but we went there 9 years ago and interviewed a whole bunch of people. But then, lo and behold, we got a couple minutes with Stephen Knight, who now is writing the next Star Wars movie, and he wrote Great Expectations, which is on FX right now. And at the time, he had written Locke, the Tom Hardy film that just starred him. And we talked to Dee Wallace from E.T. and Cujo. She was at that festival for a sort of anniversary screening of Cujo. So you never know who you're going to get a hold of. I would recommend film festivals as well. Put packages together, show them off, show them to the next person who you're interested in wooing to see if you can get there. And do they let you watch the film? In this case, they didn't. That John Wick was packed, to the rim with all sorts of people. Tons of celebrities went by who were not even talking to press. Like, there goes Terry Crews, or there goes Gene Simmons, and I got a couple words out of Alex Winter, and I was excited about that.
Yeah,
but so that
and
thing
you even have a
packed.
connection to him.
And what's that?
And you even have a connection to him too.
Kind of, yeah. I do know
we're friend for friend, basically.
His last few, documentaries. But
I was like, why didn't Paul haul that out? We got some mutuals here, man.
I did say it didn't say me anything, but so yeah, they normally can watch the film. You also got to hustle. Like sometimes, the stars arrive late and they go through the first few people, and then they go inside and they're starting late and they want to get going. So you got to tear down your equipment and run inside and hope that, nobody gives you crap for bringing a camera into a movie premiere. That doesn't look good, but I think they know you're not up to anything and you can find a seat in the back or something. It's been, with that, it would have been hard to find a seat. That was a pretty packed theater.
Indeed.
But most of the time, you can get a seat.
And thank you to Paul for editing out the embarrassing questions I asked. There was a couple things well, like I said, I want to watch all the John Wicks again before I go to the movie, but I also meant to watch them before we went to the premiere, and ended up asking Mark Dacascos, which, hey, it was fun talking to Mark Dacascos. I'm like, oh my God, what a legend. But I asked him something about why he didn't fight John Wick in this movie, and he's like, he laughed it off, but he's just like, oh no, I don't think my character could learn to breathe underwater and be able to come back. And I'm like, oh, that's ready title.
Oops.
Oops. But
the other one, we were kind of misinformed. Like, we interviewed Tyler Bates and Joel Richard, the composers of the film.
Yeah, that was a little...
And it seemed like the PR person told me, oh, do you want to talk to Joel Richard, the composer? I said, oh, we talked to Tyler Bates? Oh, yeah, he worked on the song with his daughter. But, so I thought, oh, did Bates just do the song and not the score? But Bates and Richard both worked on that, on all 3 John Wick films before this and now the new one. So, yeah, it was weird to, like, we almost were asking wrong questions. And anyway, editing, right? So
yeah, hey, I'm not even supposed to be here. Like, I'm just like, all right, I'm playing around. But I think that was a good rule to just be yourself, even if I don't have all the stats or whatever. Because what I really wanted to ask Mark Dacascos was, I lived in Ohio when they shot Double Dragon with our friend Mark Povinelli, and he would have remembered Mark Povinelli because he was, around for a lot of that shoot, because he got he was working behind the scenes, then he got a role. I mean, you can go see our show on that. But so I was like, if I'd just been like me, I probably would have had a pretty good conversation with him about that, because it's like, who asked him about that anyway, Okay,
so yeah, Maddie, I love that this movie showed Donnie Yen can act his ass off. Yep.
Oh,
true.
God, I can't even conceive of this cast too. I'm just like, I want to go see John Wick 4. It's 3 hours. That's amazing. But I'm like, I keep forgetting. I'm like, oh yeah, Donnie Yen's it. I go see a Donnie Yen movie right now anyway.
Wow, that guy. Yeah, he's stone cold, dude. He's awesome. Are you going to get Harrison Ford? He's got an indie coming out. Hi.
Hey, I like
one.
that joke. I like
That's
that
a good one,
That's
David.
Yeah, that's a good one.
By the way, I heard a great joke on Real Time with Bill Maher the other night. David Sedaris was the guest, and he was talking about how he made an offensive joke during a commencement speech, and a guy rushed him who was like a super conservative guy, and he's like, that's the new, because they're talking about that's the new thing. You don't like what you hear, you go and you slap whoever. Right. Thanks, Will. But the joke was hilarious. I want to make sure I tell it just right. So a cop pulls a car over, all right, and there's two priests in the front seat. The cop goes up, rolls the window down, and says, "Hey, we're looking for 2 child molesters." And the priests look at each other and say, "We'll do it."
That's a good one.
That's a good one. It's my new favorite joke.
I heard a joke as well. I'm a big fan of the With Gorley and Rust podcast, and anything Matt Gorley does. We had him on the show years ago. There's just such a, just like such a kinship for humor and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I just love listening to the show. But Paul Rust,
let's get some more context. If you don't know, Gorley also co-produces, I think, and co-hosts the Conan O'Brien as a Friend.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, that's Matt.
Which is why I should listen to that more as well, because he even gets to do. They did like camp out shows where they're like by the fire and stuff. I got to go listen to those because that's at Gorley's house.
Yeah, no, he and the other co-host there, whose name I forget, the girl that chime in all the time. Yeah,
right. Oh, okay. Does he chime in more? I haven't
a lot
before.
In a while.
He used to be way behind the scenes.
A lot less when the guest comes out, but top of show and all that, they kick it around the table, which is cool.
Yeah. Oh,
good for Matt. Yeah.
Oh, that's
a guy just doing what he does because he loves it and he's good. And now, lo and behold, he got this gig, so that's cool. But anyway, you were saying the joke.
It just Paul Rust just mentioned a joke that was said by who's the what's the album? Who's that stand-up comedian? It's like really dry. Fire in the maternity ward or Fire in the children's ward. What the fuck's his name? I keep wanting to say Daniel Tosh. It's not him. It's the other kind of like
Dimitri Martin.
No. The album is Caligula. Hold on. What the fuck?
It's a great story so far, Adam.
Yeah, right. Well, I wanted to properly because he was quoting Anthony Jeselnik. And he said on the podcast, I just love this response for when anyone phrases something like this. And he said it under his breath. He got no laugh, but he thought it was the funniest thing in the world, which was somebody's like, you're just having a discussion where it was like, I don't even know how to get into Canada. And he goes, I don't know, maybe try our earlier stuff. It's like nobody laughed at that. The joke of getting into something and then turning that around to the music. I'm like, that's pretty clever. I like that. I will steal that.
Wait a minute. D. Wallace is alive? What are you talking
about?
R.I.P. D. Wallace.
R.I.P.D.
R.I.P. No, okay. I refuse to believe she's gone. So someone will have to confirm that online. But Adam, I see new.
You do see. I was trying to see if I can put them in order here while we're wrapping.
Mine are in order up until the Billy Madison. So
okay,
just have to put them in between there.
I see. Okay, so the voiceover comes after. I didn't pull I'm a Prosecutor again. We played that full thing last week, so I'll just drop that into the thing. I didn't pull that again.
I had it from the opening.
Oh, you do? Oh, is that in here?
It was the opening of the last show, unless you.
Oh, I did remove that because I have a new opening for this show.
Okay, never mind.
I could put the old one in there if we want to do that. Okay, and then Dr. Evil. It's going to be a good show, folks. We got a Dr. Evil drops. I mean, this is sort of stuff we're doing here.
That's right. The show hasn't started yet, everybody.
No. We haven't.
Wait till the show gets going. Woo.
Okay, and I don't think I pulled this one.
Yeah, I also didn't find. Let's Cam, don't scare me like that. Dee Wallace is legend. I think she's 75 or something, but still going. I mean, we talked to her 9 years ago. But she was lovely.
Okay. Well, these are all out of order, but I'll figure out where they're at. I think we're safe to go. There's a couple I didn't pull also.
Spielberg mom. I think you're confusing with it. Was it Melinda Dillon who just passed?
Melinda Dillon did die, didn't she? She was so missed in the Christmas Story because they got everyone back except Darren McGavin, obviously. But she must have been sick or something. Otherwise, they would have put her in it because they got everybody else.
Yeah, she died in January. Okay, D, still going. All right, good. All right, how we looking?
Oh, we're good. There's a few things I didn't pull, but we'll just do do what we usually do, which is state them out loud, and then when they listen to the final product, they'll all be in there.
Yes. Oh boy,
But we got
those are
enough of
coming
them in
soon.
here.
Wait till season 3 gets here. Woo! It's gonna be
Yes.
great.
It's going to be great. It's
Let's
being
get-
edited now. It just
Get the QuickTime going, especially. I'm going to fire up QuickTime. Adam,
right.
fire up QuickTime, and I want David McKay to fire up QuickTime.
Yeah, fire it up, David. We want to hear the actual laughter. We'll lay it in afterwards. Actually, I wanted to do that during quarantine, which was to put out something and try and prod people to record their reactions, the audio reactions, and then we'd layer them all in so you could then watch the thing again with everybody's reactions. Okay, let's find a quick time here. New audio recording. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully this will be entertaining. A little jaunt down memory lane of Presumed Innocent. I don't know how many people have seen it, but we're not going to spoil the ending. But we will be spoiling a little of the pre-ending, which is so fun. All right. So, and recording, testing. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Presumed Innocent, Paul. What do you think?
In Harrison Ford's latest, there's a rich white male lawyer on trial. So guess what it's called?
Sorry, I didn't make it out to the top of the script yet. Set me up again.
You told me to go.
Sorry. I was looking way down in the script. I forgot we had to do the top part too.
That's also not Harrison Ford's latest. Okay. In our next film in the Ford Fiesta, Harrison Ford plays a... screw it. No. In Harrison Ford's latest, there's a rich white male lawyer on trial. So guess what it's called?
Presumed Innocent?
That's right.
Wow.
Yes, but unlike Alex Murdaugh, we actually are rooting for the main character in Presumed Innocent.
Yes, because he's played by legendary actor Harrison Ford.
Yes, but that character still has some unpleasant attributes which muddle the case.
Yes, because he's played by excellent actor Harrison Ford.
Yes, well, clearly this must be
the
Ford Fiesta.
If you were to remember nothing else as you begin your deliberations, remember Wendell's words. My mommy hurt my head. My mommy hurt my head. My mommy hurt my head.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, did I pull the stupid one without the music again? God. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I never checked these things.
All right, well, we'll put this in later.
Da, da, da. Yeah, we'll put it in later.
Right.
Damn it. That's fine.
Oops, what happened?
Don't bother him with it.
Wait. There I am. All right. Go ahead.
Let's try that Ford Fiesta sync up again. The Ford Fiesta!
Okay, go ahead. Sync it in post.
Sync it in post. Yeah, you did yours already. Welcome to the Ford Fiesta. I'm Adam Witt of Habeas Corpus.
And I'm Paul Precedent.
And joining us later in the show will be actor and friend of the show, Brendan Meyer. Pop quiz, Brendan Meyer, older or younger than the movie Presumed Innocent?
Okay, so he was a child actor who has successfully navigated the waters to be a successful working adult actor on shows like The OA on Netflix. But I think we all remember him as a young goalie in the 2005 TV movie Waking Up Wally, the Walter Gretzky story.
Well, of course you remember that. Of course, Paul.
Yes, but if he's a child actor in that film in 2005, okay, he's probably younger than Presumed Innocent.
Okay. That's correct, Paul.
No.
That's correct, Paul. Brendan Meyer is younger than Presumed Innocent, which is 33 years old this year. And Paul, you're older than Presumed Innocent, coming in at...
Okay, why are we doing this? Let's just say I'm presumed young.
Okay.
Let's get on to what's important. And that would be, what's new in the world of Harrison Ford? Okay, now, with John Wick Chapter 4 having a huge opening weekend, it's important to remember the lead role almost went to Harrison Ford.
Get
There's a whole lot of
out of here.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of news out there now about this because Wick is so big. But the original script had him in a much older man. Ford and Clint Eastwood were both considered to be John Wick at one point.
Yeah, more of an Unforgiven thing, which we're getting in 1923, which is awesome. I cannot believe that Harrison Ford hasn't played this exact type of great gruffy cowboy role before. It's incredible.
Well, you'll see Cowboys and Aliens. It was 10 plus years ago, but still pretty gruff in that one as well.
Yeah.
1923, of course, taken a little more seriously. Let's not forget Harrison Ford presented the Oscar to Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that led to the legendary reunion of Indiana Jones in Short Round that everybody had a soft heart for.
Jeez. Yeah. Not a single cynic in the house. And there's very few things you can find these days that some cynic doesn't come out and go, well, this is stupid. Or, oh, Trump is awesome. Like, even if it's completely off topic, you know, on Twitter, you're like, we're discussing air conditioning repair. And you're like, yeah, Trump is still president. You're like, all right. So this is Twitter, huh?
Even they took a break. Yeah.
Yeah. Even they took a break because the magic of that is undeniable.
And it could have gone two ways. I mean, that's how great Harrison Ford is. If Spielberg won for Fabelmans, it's what a great moment that is.
Yeah.
You know, where he gives another Oscar to Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. True. Oh, that's true. Yeah. And I love when they set that up too, like in Schindler's List. You're like, oh, but of course you've said before they've tried to set it up before and it didn't work out. So it's not like they know, but
they set it up.
Yeah.
They kind of set it up for Saving Private Ryan, and even Ford went Shakespeare in Love.
Oh, great. Shakespeare. He should have said it like that. Nobody would have denied him. Oh, great. Shakespeare in Love. Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan is the what beat Raiders? Was
Chariots of Fire.
The Chariots of Fire beats Raiders moment of its time. I mean, come on.
Yes, but I've seen Shakespeare in Love. I will not see Chariots of Fire.
No, never going to see it.
I mean, yeah, probably won't. Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. This is what I've said about Chariots of Fire. It doesn't come up. Nobody's got it on. It's not on cable. It's not at your video store. Nobody talks about it. It doesn't exist.
Nobody cares. Yeah.
Nobody cares. Shakespeare in Love, I'd say the same thing. Has anybody actually talked about Shakespeare in Love?
Really, I mean, no.
It's a lovely movie. I remember liking it. It's a lovely movie, but nobody's mentioned it since, I don't think.
Well, this is big news. It just came in today. It's initial talks, but they're hinting at the fact that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny will premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. Ooh. Now, this is a great sign of confidence because it's like a month.
It's going to win.
Advance. Yeah, it's a month in advance. They're pretty sure, you know, it's going to get good buzz, I think, if that's the case.
Wow.
Tom Cruise premiered Top Gun Maverick there last year, you know, and it
Right.
led to great buzz and great box office. And I hope this does the same. I mean, I think Crystal Skull premiered at Cannes 2 days before it opened. Just saying. This is
Invasion USA opened at Cannes. Oh no, I believe it was just sold there in the marketplace. But anyway,
the Chuck Norris film.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
There's all those cheesy movies they also sell at Cannes, so like those have their premieres there as well. In a weird way.
Cannon has a little tent in the corner, right?
Right.
Oh,
right.
we've got movies. Yeah. So that's exciting. I mean, this episode of the Ford Fiesta will probably come out after the movie itself. But hey,
well, and you've got to be, well, exactly. Well, I'm working on the Temple of Doom one right now, and I'm like, we're announcing 1923, but whatever. No, future generations, future archaeologists will not know the time frame between that being recorded and released. But
and again, because he's so busy. I usually look for the Daily Mail news or something about Harrison Ford wearing a tight black shirt as he goes shopping for bike parts or something.
Of course.
But Bill Lawrence is hinting at 3 seasons of Shrinking. Again, always a risk with an 80-year-old guy, but he wants him back for more. And the finale was excellent for that show. It brought
Still catching up.
The feels as well as all the comedy that it has been, with your MVP actually being Ted McGinley. That guy is hilarious on that show.
Yeah, that's very exciting that you say that because I've only watched 3 episodes, but after the first one, I saw his name in the credits and I was like, Ted McGinley? And then I went back and saw, and I go, oh, obviously that's Ted McGinley, but I just don't recognize like older Ted McGinley. But what a great choice. There's so many of these actors that are out there and not working, and they're awesome. For example, last night, while trying to write the script for this show, I went down a Gary Kroeger hole on Twitter. And podcast. Remember Gary Kroeger from Saturday Night Live? And more legendarily, he did a sketch comedy show right next to the Second City, and that whole cast got picked up for the 7th season of Saturday Night Live, the Eddie Murphy's 2nd season, because there's that kind of the disastrous 6th one. But I was like, oh, Gary Kroeger's still out there. You should be in more stuff. It's like I loved all this stuff. SNL back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I see that in sports too. There's some guys sitting at home watching football. It's like, why? Not just Kaepernick, but other guys too. It's like, yeah, the same thing could be said for actors. Not work, and then that's why someone comes along. They rediscover Keaton, they rediscover Travolta, and they realize why these guys are awesome. So
yeah, McGinley's not gonna he's not gonna phone it in. It's it's like he's a pro. That's really cool.
Oh,
So,
he's a
yeah.
big smile, half a dimwit, but super funny. He's just great.
what
So
a
all I
perfect
found for interesting new news about Harrison Ford was I always asked everybody in our old podcast what their favorite movie of all time was, and I still ask people that in conversation on the tours. It makes for good conversation, driving people around. Harrison Ford's favorite movie was asked recently, and he said it was To Kill a Mockingbird. That tracks about right. He says it.
Tracks.
It has a strong moral register, and it's only right that I should find this out while we're talking about his big courtroom thriller. So
yeah, true. And boy, and I keep comparing him to John Wayne, but he's a Gregory Peck, he's a Jimmy Stewart. Like Harrison Ford has transcended to be what we saw when we were kids as Jimmy Stewart or Gregory Peck or whatever. You're like, oh, that's that really famous, well-known super actor, and like that's what Harrison Ford is right now. So he's got a total Gregory Peck thing going on too. And we love his morality, and we love, when he's the hero and all that stuff. I mean, that's just pure Gregory Peck as well.
And he said it was impossible to see Gregory Peck act. And that's kind of Harrison Ford as well. When you watch him, he's certainly not acting like Jared Leto is acting.
Right. Too much acting, Jared. Too much acting.
Peck and Ford share that, and that's pretty cool, I think.
That's cool. 2 points here. One is it is funny because when we started the podcast, it was basically there was a bit of a joke about it. The fact that we were watching everything from Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round to, at that time, we were saying Born...
Call of the Wild.
Call of the Wild, not Born to Be Wild. That's a different movie, but Call of the Wild. And so some of the news we were doing was this sort of Daily Mail stuff. And what's so funny is Harrison Ford is actual news now. And so it's funny that you've run out of no news, which is what the bike stories are. There's no news about Harrison Ford for the time being, because he's big major news. He's in 2 TV shows, a movie coming up. He just made one of the most famous appearances in an Oscars of all time. Of all time, there's no way that doesn't end up in the highlight reel for the rest of time. That is such a moment. So it's cool that no Harrison Ford news is gone for the time being,
and that's good. Give those dopey
give him a rest.
Break.
Yeah. And then when he's not doing anything, we'll check back in with the Daily Mail. And the other thing I want to say, Paul, is that I have a very distinct memory of when I met you, and we outside the Stage Left Theater, and we had that conversation about Harrison Ford, and that's how we were like, we're in the know, because there was no Schmodown. You couldn't just go to a group of people and go, well, obviously we all love Harrison Ford, right? It's like, meeting in the wild and going, oh, you like Harrison Ford too? You made a John Book reference in that show. I caught that, and so we're like, well, we should go see a movie together. And that was the next thing that was opening was The Lost World Jurassic Park at McClurg Court. And so the entire time we're waiting in the line, opening night, we were enjoying, we figured out we loved that together, like, ooh, that Friday night or Saturday night, opening weekend type of atmosphere. And so I remember it was that was a gigantic theater, that McClurg Court Theater. I mean, I don't know how many seats were in that thing, but it was huge.
Is it gone?
It is gone. Oh yeah. That's been gone for a while now. Yes. The theater where I saw Anaconda is no more.
And Titanic and Phantom Menace, The Lost World. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, Anaconda, Volcano, The Lost World. Yeah, that was a big one. Phantom Menace, of course. And the first re-release, I think, of Star Wars Special Edition. But so we're in this giant crowd Friday night, and so we're winding down the stairs, and and there's that bottom lobby that you went into, and it filled into the whole lobby or whatever. And we're just having a good conversation, and you and I are getting to know each other and starting to figure out, this about movie, and we're making jokes because we're both like in the improv scene or whatever. But I remember as the doors opened and we went in there, right before we went in, you turn to me and you go, oh, I haven't asked you, what's your favorite movie?
Oh, did I really?
You did. And it was like, oh, we're about to go in. Not that we wouldn't be sitting and talking or whatever, but I just remember when the doors open, you go, oh, before we go in, what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And you're like, damn right. That was such a good moment. I'm like, yep, Raiders of the Lost Ark, twinsies.
Yeah, that's become part of my stand-up routine now too. I miss the days of, DVDs, because you can walk into someone's house and immediately judge them. Now they
Oh,
took all
yeah.
that stuff away, all that embarrassing
Yes.
stuff away on a computer. But when you could go in and say, midnight run,
absolutely.
all right, we're going to hang out.
All right.
you know?
Yeah. You're
Instead of
right.
going
You're
in.
right. That fingerprint is gone. And I remember there would also be times too where I'd be on a date and I'd end up back to her place and you see the minuscule DVD thing and you're like, all of these were gotten in line at the Walgreens. Like you're like, what do you have? Tomcats and
She's all that. Yeah.
she's all that and kicking and screaming or whatever. You're like, okay, but yeah, can't do that anymore. Now you have to judge
All right.
other
Well,
things.
one more quick recurring show segment before we get to the recap.
This
Date.
in
Ford.
history.
Raid. Just two quick things to point out because we did a lot of news. March 22nd, 1976. It's a little before we're recording this. Star
Yeah.
Wars begins shooting. So
Oh.
they put that thing, they waited 3 years. But from shooting to finish, you'd think most of the movie would be post. Just over a year.
Wow.
Before it came out.
That's cool. I have a t-shirt that has they make these t-shirts for slates, and the slates are from the first day of shooting, and they put them on t-shirt. Use my Jaws slate, right? Which had the teeth.
Yeah.
It's like the teeth clapper. But what's funny is it's not any of the names you recognize because the very first shot of Jaws was sharks. So it's that cinematographer on the thing, it was like the underwater stuff. So you're like, oh, that's not Bill Butler's name on there. Like, no, it's the B-roll unit. So I'm sure Star Wars also has a similar thing of like special effects were trying to get going while they're shooting all the other stuff on set.
I was trying to find out what the first thing of Star Wars was that was shot, and I couldn't find it quickly enough. But I did find out that
I can
it's
find
not
that for you.
Ford, because Ford, our next date in Ford history, he arrives on set April 1st. So they shot for 9, 10. Math is hard. For 10 days or so until he showed up. So
yeah, I could find out what the very first thing they shot was. I have that 15-pound book, but it's hard to pull out of the shelf right now. I'll get back to you on that, Paul.
And apparently Alec Guinness wrote fondly of Harrison Ford and his time working with him on the film.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
We met someone who knows Harrison Ford at the Comic-Con. Do we talk about that here for the podcast?
That's
Or do we
our
save that for
post recap talk.
Yeah.
So let's get on to the recap. All right, this is our recap of Wait, let me get all the cues. All right. So let's get on to the recap of Presumed Innocence.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the story you're about to hear is one of an actor named Harrison Ford. You'll hear how he's minted himself a Hollywood icon by playing 2 legendary characters beloved to this very day, and even 3 months from this very day. We've shown that Harrison Ford then did something that poisoned the careers of many interesting actors, trying to make everyone forget what he was known for.
But not only did Mr. Ford prove his ability to hold his own in a drama, thriller, or comedy by turning in 4 performances from 4 auteur-driven films, but could still open a summer movie and put up big box office numbers in these non-fantasy films, and then return to his most famous character without missing a step.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we intend to show in this case is that Harrison Ford is capable of adding not 1, but 2 genres to his career in one movie: a courtroom drama and an erotic thriller, the it genre of the time. As Harrison Ford,
Phase 3
continues with Alan J. Pakula's adaptation of Scott Turow's best-selling novel, Presumed Innocent.
How do you plead?
We're innocent.
Presumed Innocent starts at the gate with a voiceover for the prosecutor's role in the law over a stark shot of an empty jury box, using Ford's voice for all its power, setting the tone and location of the movie.
This is the one we don't have. I am a prosecutor. We opened the show with
I don't know if you have the next one. You have the next one? Oh, you do.
I do. Hold on.
It's the first time in a movie. Wait, it's the first time a movie has used Harrison Ford as a voiceover, unless you count Blade Runner. And who would?
And who would?
This is bizarre.
God damn, this is bizarre.
Then we hear the first notes of the Presumed Innocent theme composed by John Williams, who offers up a slow and sparse piano melody that's perfectly suspenseful and will reappear at every step as this story unfolds, aiding in the storytelling as only he can. Oh, it's so good. So good. There's another thing everybody agrees on. John Williams is awesome. Movies are just literally better with John Williams. Not a single person would argue otherwise.
Presumed Innocent begins with the happy home life of assistant to the DA, Rusty Sabich, and his wife, Barbara. Rusty reveals very quickly a life outside the beautiful Dewey kitchen exchange between him and his wife by holding up a letter on letterhead from Carolyn Polimis that says, "Stop it. I know it's you."
And quicker than you can say, Laura Palmer, Carolyn Polimis, is found raped and murdered in her apartment.
And quicker than you can say, Michael Douglas, Rusty's ability to take charge of the investigation is hampered by the fact that he had a brief sexual affair with Carolyn.
You see, Rusty works for Raymond Horgan. Now, Horgan is district attorney, and there's a big election coming up where Horgan will be running against Nico Della Guardia. It also turns out that the acting head of the homicide division has left Horgan to join Della Guardia's campaign. And
I object. That's not what this movie's about. Can we get back to Harrison Ford, please?
Sustained. In flashbacks, we learn that Rusty was little help in advancing Carolyn's career, so she dumped him. This is either the film's first unrealistic moment that a woman would dump Harrison Ford, or it sets up just how mercurial Carolyn is that in her brazen attempt to climb the legal hierarchy, she'd even dump Harrison Ford.
But I submit as evidence the aforementioned note from Carolyn. If it wasn't for the inclusion of that note, we would assume Ford is Jimmy Stewart because he's Harrison Ford and he's here to save the day and get to the bottom of the crime. However, the note has made it so that we cannot fully believe this. Also, Harrison Ford is a dorky haircut and a dorky name. And yet, it's Harrison Ford. He's innocent, right? I mean, right?
Right.
An almost comical series of intertwining motivations are set up around Carolyn Polimis. We find out why Horgan is extra nervous about the case because he had an affair with Carolyn. What's that?
Aye.
And the man he's running against has been tasked with proving that his opponent is the boss of a murderer. This makes the actor playing Horgan, Brian Dennehy, double down on what he does best: gruffness. I don't have this clip.
Okay.
Find me a killer. Not only that, but a file on a bribery scandal involving local officials has been removed by Carolyn. So was she blackmailing someone? And who was this character in the hospital? And why was he trying to kill Nordberg? And for whom?
I didn't have any proof, but somehow I didn't entirely trust him either. Why was the I love you not listed in Ludwig's records? And if it was, did he know about it? And if he didn't, who did? And where the hell was I?
It's confirmed that, yes, Rusty had an affair with Carolyn, which put a tremendous strain on his marriage with Barbara. And this series of events within events comes just as they were starting to mend their fragile relationship. Carolyn has come between them again, and now the whole world is about to know, and the affair will again dominate their lives. The frustration is stated perfectly by Barbara.
I don't have this clip, but it's 20,000 attorneys in the downtown area, and they couldn't find one that didn't fuck her. It's just a great line. Here. Oh, never mind. I don't have that clip either. Okay. The movie finally relieves some of our wondering and gives us more flashbacks, filling in all the details of how Rusty and Carolyn came to have an affair. First of all, they look like Harrison Ford and Greta Scacchi. That's going to heat up some body parts.
They were put on the same case by Horgan and worked closely on a bizarre case where a mother put their child's head in a vice and tightened it. Wait, sorry, let me say that again. They were put on the same case by Horgan and worked closely on a bizarre case where a mother put her child's head in a vice and tightened it.
My mommy hurt my head.
Maybe the kid owed money to Nicky Santoro from Casino. What's weird is the flashback is just showing how Carolyn and Rusty got together, but they go deep enough in the case of the Squozen toddler that I started to wonder if the kid's mother killed Carolyn. The kid is played by Joseph Mazzello, by the way, in his first role, and the urge to squeeze the kid's head in a vice would later be adapted to Alan Grant's motivations in Jurassic Park.
My mommy hurt my head. My mommy hurt my head.
And right as we're hoping that Rusty isn't guilty, a veritable OJ's worth of evidence is revealed by Nico Della Guardia and Tommy Molto, who adds Joe Grafese to this ambrosia salad of character actors. Carpet fibers matching Rusty's house, Rusty's fingerprints on a drinking glass at the crime scene, and evidence that Rusty tried to bury that evidence, and evidence that Rusty tried to bury that evidence. Oh, that's a terrible sentence. And also, Rusty tried to bury that evidence. And what would a court case be without semen? Oh, so much semen. And whose spooge is it? Yep, it's Rusty's. They've got everything but Rusty looking into a security camera, holding a bloody knife and going, shh. Did I upload the lawyer?
We have this clip. Maybe not. Okay.
I didn't upload it. I guess I have it. But yeah.
Enter Sandy Stern. What's with these names?
Right.
Stern is exactly the type of lawyer character we watch courtroom dramas for. The smooth expert in every aspect of the law who's playing 3D chess with the opposing team's feeble attempts to throw him off, and dashing their case by hanging every misstep and inconsistency around their necks. And what's your dream casting for what I just described? If you said Raul Julia, then you've either seen this movie or just simply have great taste.
Further flashbacks reveal that Carolyn dropped Rusty fairly quickly after their trial together, and that he has become obsessed with her, following her, stalking her, calling her, thus the note. So, in a fun twist, he's Glenn Close, and also seemingly pretty guilty.
Rusty wants to testify, but Sandy tells him not to, and that he should take the Fifth Amendment, which he does, prompting his arrest. But unlike a lot of accused murderers, Rusty is a professional attorney, and after reading Nico and Molto's case and uncovering possible holes in the case, but also that amongst the witnesses on their list is...
Oh, wait, I think I wrote that pretty badly.
Right. But unlike a lot of accused murderers, Rusty is a professional attorney. And after reading Nico and Molto's case... okay, got it.
Oh, boy.
But unlike a lot of
sentence has not been rewritten.
But unlike a lot of accused murderers, Rusty is a professional attorney. And after reading Nico and Molto's case, he discovers possible holes in the case, and also that amongst the witnesses on their list is Raymond Horgan, who's been informed of Rusty's affair and is desperate to distance himself. And then that goes real bad real quick.
Did somebody say character actor? Did somebody say character actor all-you-can-eat buffet? Because we have yet to meet Judge Lauren Little, played by the great Paul Winfield.
Yo, mama.
Again, with the names and alliteration, has anyone ever been named Laren or Rosette? Anyway, Judge Lytle does...
Little. Yeah.
Little. Judge Little does not suffer fools lightly. Every gap in Molto and Nico's case that Stern seeks to open like a wound, Stern opens like a wound, I guess, right? Finish the job. Sorry, guys. Judge Little does not suffer fools lightly. Every gap in Molto and Nico's case that Stern seeks to open is pulled open like a wound. Judge Little finishes the job by needling the prosecution, which makes him a fan favorite in this movie because we're desperately hoping they're wrong and that Harrison Ford is innocent.
But don't get too excited, because the judge may also have a tarnished record. No one in this web of secrecy and lies gets out alive. And Carolyn's sleeping
Hey,
her way
try
to
not
the
to
top.
suck any dick on the way through the parking lot.
Wait. Your internet screwed up. I know what the joke is. Go ahead and read the whole thing just for this viewing audience. I know you recorded it correctly on your end, but
But don't get too excited, because the judge may also have a tarnished record. No one in this web of secrecy and lies gets out alive. And Carolyn may have slept with the judge too. Was there no one spared in Carolyn's sleeping her way to the top?
Hey, try not to suck any dick on the way through the parking lot.
Raymond Horgan takes the stand and betrays Rusty in seemingly damning testimony, but Stern turns this confident gambit into a mistake, using Horgan's gruffness against him and throwing the B file back in Horgan's face, connecting the bribery file to Horgan, noting that Horgan was compromised by the affair, and building a case that Rusty was framed.
And were you not concerned, sir, in the midst of a nip and tuck election campaign about word leaking out that you had secretly given a file that was in Mr. Savage's area of authority to an assistant with no experience in such matters with whom you were sleeping at the time?
May have crossed my mind. Who knows, Mr. Stern? It was not an ideal situation.
Far from it.
I love both of those actors. I can't believe they're both gone, but what a great thing to have on film with those two doing it the way they're doing it. Good.
And that whole exchange too. It's like Horgan comes in like, "Oh, I've figured this out." And just like the way that those two go back and forth, and you're like, "No, he's tearing you down. He's a pretty good attorney. You made a mistake taking the stand." Because they make this whole point earlier too, like taking the stand, that's Rusty, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't care what you think. And then Horgan's like, "Oh, I'm taking the stand." You're like, "See?" It just tore you a new asshole. Okay. On top of that, the glass with Rusty's fingerprints on it has disappeared, rendering the prosecution's fingerprint analysis toothless. Detective LaPranzer, a friend of Rusty's who was taken off the case but keeps feeding Rusty info he's gathering on the outside, suggests that leaking some information they have against Lauren Little might get him to drop the case. So that's how LaPranzer plays the game. But then just as quickly he says, "Oh, never mind." But even Judge Little has a secret?
A coroner is brought in and is torn a second butthole by Sandy Stern, revealing that the coroner was so sloppy as to not even know that Carolyn had a tubal ligation. Her tubes were tied, as they say, and was incapable of conceiving a child. So why would she need a diaphragm and spermicide? Sorry.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Let me just say, Jim Downey. Round of applause for Jim Downey.
Oh, did Jim Downey write that?
Wrote and performed that. A rare performance. Yeah.
Wait, that's Jim Downey?
It is.
It is?
The
I've never
greatest
known that. I've seen that clip forever, and I never knew that was Jim Downey.
Yep.
Oh, how crazy. Wow. Okay. I guess I always thought that Jim Downey looked like, who's the red-haired guy, classic Saturday Night Live writer? I guess I always think the ones I don't know what they look like,
Brad Hall?
No. I'm talking like classic writers for
O'Donohue or Alan Zweibel?
Zweibel.
Oh.
Like, I just think everybody looks like Zweibel if I don't know what their name is. This tears the final hole in the prosecution's case. It collapses immediately. Stern doesn't even have to motion for dismissal. Judge Little knows that's what he's going to do. And declares Rusty innocent. No big speech about justice, no big acting moment to win over the audience. The only thing close to that is Judge Little's overdramatic declaration about how this was so terrible to do this to this super innocent man, that it's a disgrace to the court, system to have even thought of such a thing. Okay. Loving Harrison Ford as we do, it just still doesn't feel right. And we don't know if he's innocent, although we presume.
The victory is so hollow, the immediate cut to 2 glasses of champagne clinking is purely a joke. While celebrating, Rusty identifies the tactic that Sandy employed to swing the case. All the talk of the B file, which Judge Little bristled at and demanded Stern show relevance, was actually connected to Little. Mm-hmm. The corruption the file covered was Little's. He was at one time corrupt, had seen the error of his ways and become a good judge. But the threat, Stern knew, would expedite a judgment of innocence.
A final meeting between Savage and Lepranzer reveals that Lepranzer was in charge of picking up the drinking glass from evidence. But on his way to pick it up, he was taken off the case because of his friendship with Rusty. So the glass just never made it back to evidence, nullifying the fingerprint evidence. So the glass just never made it back, nullifying the fingerprint evidence. Rusty throws the glass in the river, and Lepranzer asks if he did it or not. The answer is not satisfying.
And then suddenly we're back in happy, happy Joyland with Rusty and Barbara, the happy couple, and their child, with John Williams playing Theme from A Perfect Happy Family, as Rusty symbolically mends a fence on his little acre of heaven. It's a fake out, a great fake out right before a killer reveal, literally.
Now, for anyone who hasn't seen Presumed Innocent, we're not going to reveal the final twist, but what happens next is so fun, I do want to keep it pure for anyone planning on watching. So, tune out, check back in a minute, but as Rusty reaches for a pry bar... He pulls out a combination crowbar, hammer, and hatchet, and on the hammer, you ready, John Williams, is blood and some hair, the murder weapon, which is the only thing talked about in every courtroom drama and has been overlooked by us by the more realistic version of what happens in the courts the entire movie.
Keep going.
It's such a great Hitchcock suspense turn, and it isn't over. And it isn't even the twist, because Pakula has played the audience like a violin, played by Anne-Sophie Mutter at John Williams with John Williams. It's such a great Hitchcock suspense turn. It's such a great Hitchcock suspense turn. And it isn't over. And it isn't even the twist, because Pakula has played the audience like a violin, played by Anne-Sophie Mutter with John Williams at the Hollywood Bowl.
Speaking of John Williams, which I could do all day, he goes full Hitchcock, and nobody does it better, as Rusty enters a basement full of harsh lighting, making it look like a serial killer's torture dungeon. And after a thrilling 2 minutes wondering where this is going, it pays off in a way you'll have to see for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And then the movie bookends with another voiceover from the best voice there is. But this time we can't take it at face value. Every word now has a double meaning, and all victories are hollow. Nobody has won this day. So, a 70s movie?
The murder of Carolyn Palamas remains unsolved. It is a practical impossibility to try two people for the same crime.
Yeah, we'll put that in later.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
really
It's
long. I don't want to
I
get
didn't
tagged for
realize,
copyright.
it is long.
And that's Presumed Innocent, everybody. Presumed Innocent. 1990, Harrison Ford.
Oh, my gosh.
And we go into Brendan Meyer. So, ta-da.
And yes, that clapping will segue to last week's show. If anybody's watching here, I believe this is all of our pals here. You know the deal. But if anybody else is watching this for the first time, last week we recorded the interview, put those things together, and that is the Ford Fiesta podcast, available where all fine podcasts are streamed.
Season 3 coming soon. And when it does, rapidly, I imagine. As you'll get a pile on of
yeah, I think because we've recorded quite a few now, so we're getting.
So you can go ahead and stop recording, Adam.
Yes.
Let's see,
man, what a good movie, huh?
Yeah, David, you can stop recording. Let's go to the chat. What were you guys yapping about?
Go ahead and save it too, Paul, while you're at it, just in case anything happens.
Oh, I stopped. I saved everything. Yep.
Oh, you got the whole thing. Okay.
Let's see. I could see Grumpy Clint killing everyone for not getting off his lawn. That could be a John Wick thing. You know, you killed my dog. You know.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Gonna just leave the email about my invite.
It's a good bit
to the Chariots of Fire. You know, no one has an outdoor screening of Chariots of Fire because nobody cares.
That would be a funny one to show in your backyard, Paul.
I missed half a day of skiing. Shakespeare in Love with Gwyneth. Too soon. Vangelis score for Chariots is great, and he did the music for Blade Runner. Yes, but
This is true.
what the best thing about Chariots of Fire, and I've said this before, is the video, the music video of Vangelis playing the Chariots of Fire score, because he is smoking, and they're showing shots of people running, and he's smoking, doing great 1981 smoking while he's playing the keyboard. It's the best.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. The Chariots thing. But for all its cultural relevance, that might as well be that song from Mr. Mom, or like it's used as parody. It's in Revenge of the Nerds.
Here
It's
it
in
is.
Mr. Mom. It's Vacation. That's right.
Yeah.
I might be the only one that actually literally paid for it. I think the others are parodies, but yeah.
Saving Private Ryan, losing to Shakespeare in Love is like losing to Glass Joe in Punch Out. Glass Joe. Yeah, he is the first and weakest. Brennan checking in. Please check
Hey,
Brennan, we did a while ago.
Yeah,
The
go
gang's
check
all
that out.
here. Yay. Glad D. Wallace is not deceased. Yeah, if we gave you any news today.
I mean, still upset that
that Melinda Dillon's back.
Melinda Dillon,
the great from Slapshot as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is she?
Movie.
Yeah, I just found out some other movie that she was in too. It keeps popping up, and I'm like, oh, in movies I know, and I'm like, oh, I forgot she was in that.
Had a second to drop in and leave a like. We'll come back for more. Love Presumed Innocent, Brian Dennehy, Raul, Julia, Bonnie, Bedelia. Yeah, we were going on. You didn't even mention Joe Grafasi or Greta Scacchi or all these other characters. So
Yeah, I just mentioned him briefly, but yeah, Joe Grafasi. But yeah, it really is a PLD's worth of actors. This cast. I mean, I can't imagine a guy with the love of that he does that wouldn't enjoy Brian Dennehy and
Alan Smith telling us he beat Adam Collins in a trivia match yesterday. Lady Marisol to sudden death. Wow, where is this happening?
Wow, I think everybody's kind of doing other streaming matches. They might be Patreon or Twitch.
I have to delete this because it has nothing to do with Harrison Ford. Sorry, Alan. No, I'm just kidding. Congratulations. He's not easy to beat.
Well, I love the nobody's studying trivia matches.
Yes.
I think that's fun. It's like it's now your natural ability. Nobody's studied. You're like, hey, wake me up out of bed. Find out if I know stuff about movies.
Yeah. Everyone seems to agree.
That's cool though.
Dumping Harrison Ford, not believable. That was our take, I think. Yep, I think I'd stay with him, and I have a girlfriend. Is it safe to come back? Yes, we didn't tell the ending of the thing.
Who didn't know the ending? Who was that? Is it
maybe perhaps David did? Yeah, so we won't talk.
Was it
about
David?
I don't think we talked about it with Brendan really either. We go right up to it though. He took us a little close there, Adam, with the writing. I was like,
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I guess the one part I warned him about, I mean, if you did find out about that, it still doesn't tell you what's happened, but you know.
Right.
But yeah, I guess the surprise that the murder weapon shows up and hasn't been talked about the entire movie, which just makes it a really cool alt courtroom drama, because this clearly, and I haven't read the book, I haven't read what Scott Turow, does whatever. This is clearly taking everything we've always thought of courtroom dramas and turning it on its head in like every conceivable fashion, because like I said, there's no speech about justice. There's no, big moment. There's no crying on the, it's all that sort of stuff. It's like, no, it's like dismissed because of like this and that and this tiny thing, which is probably extremely realistic for court cases. It never ends up that dramatic. It's like, oh no, they couldn't prove this and that, and this evidence had that. And you're like, someone's still murdered and there's a murderer loose, but it's.
I went to the closest I got to being on a jury was getting in the room, and they were calling people up to the box, and they filled the jury before they called me up to the box. But man, just watching those two lawyers go to work on those jurors to make sure they got the people they wanted. Fascinating. If that paid decent, I'd be there for weeks, But of course, you'll go broke working a jury. So that's I think why everybody tries to get out of it.
Well,
but I thought it fascinating. I'd love to do it.
And I think that's what this movie, and obviously doesn't focus on jury selection, but in fact, it skips any of that. It never says anybody's deliberating. It's like it skips all the classic tropes. And
It's got other stuff to do.
Kind of nuts. And the guy that's up for murder is an attorney himself. What's so crazy is I went back and rewatched a couple scenes to make sure I had the order of stuff right. And the fact that in no other case ever presented in any movie do you then you go, oh, we have to have a meeting in the judge's quarters with the 2 attorneys. Oh, and also bring the defendant. Because he's an attorney. That's like, wow, that never happens. So then they go back to the judge's quarters, and there's the guy that's accused of murder talking about this like a lawyer. Like, oh, okay, and then we do this and this.
Yeah, it was funny. The later in the film when he would call them in, he'd be like, "Gentlemen, meet me in my office," and they all gather and they walk by. The next time he's like, "Gentlemen, boom, cut to the quarters," and he's like, "You guys need to blah blah." Like, it just became funny.
It does get pretty good. It's...
All right, let's talk about some other stuff before we got like 10 minutes left here before we go hit our, fourth. I don't want to go more than 90 minutes for a show. Let's talk a little WonderCon because
we did. We went to WonderCon. Boy, what a fun weekend. We did John Wick 2, and then we went to WonderCon. Oh, and Friday was David Cross for me. I went to David Cross.
Yeah, and Thursday was Disneyland for me. So,
right.
Birthday was kind and did the big La La Land birthday too at the Smokehouse and went out to see jazz music. LA's
right, and I saw you
always interesting. Yeah, we hung out and watched jazz together.
Well, what another great secret place in my neighborhood here.
Catalina Jazz Club. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's just like I've walked past it 100 times. It's so funny. Yeah. What a great secret.
So
at the George Lucas bar.
We're pulling into WonderCon, and what do we see in front of us? A Ford Fiesta. We're like, oh,
nice.
That's a good sign.
Good sign.
It's gonna go well. And it was a great day. That con, in my opinion, has gotten bigger. Or I've been to the last couple. I just feel like I've been there for so long that I'm not like, oh, it's come back from COVID, so it looks bigger. But I even remember pre-COVID, it didn't feel this big. I think it just came back big. We went from 1 to 7 p.m. just on the floor outside of a quick stop for lunch. So there was no shortage of stuff to see out on that floor. From the artists to the celebs to the vendors to the, it was crazy. It was a lot.
It was cool. We did a nice thing where we literally walked every aisle and, and then we would meet up with friends. Craig, Barbarian Craig was there, and we ran into Eric Zipper, which is awesome. Good to see him.
And my friend Justin ran a panel for stunt performers, which if you go to Comic-Con, I highly recommend it. You got to go to the Marriott Marquis because the stunt performers panel is part of the film festival for Comic-Con. So it's off the beaten path. They never get a huge audience, and they should, because it's the best panel you'll see. It's not a bunch of people contractually obligated to promote their product. It's a bunch of people with no agenda who are really tight, and the camaraderie is real, and the stories are wild. In fact, they not only told great stories about the sets and doing stunts, but they talked about Rust and the death on the set of the cinematographer and who's responsible and how it happened. It was still, so that part was fascinating, even though it wasn't like the, hey, we're, crazy stuntman thing that kind of populates the rest of the Q&A and how much fun they're having.
Yeah.
But safety, they'll tell you first.
Seems like quite a community, stuntmen. They're like, we've been through some of this. We've fallen off the same heights. We're hanging out.
Yeah, so I recommend that. Explain what else we saw here. Oh, I met this guy.
I love that there was a Henry Jones walking around.
Senior. Yeah. And then, lo and behold, I needed his help to save me from a Tuscan Raider, so he jumped in there, which was great. Because you never know when you're going to see
that. Is the sort of surreal image you can only find at Comic-Con. That's what I just love about that.
Yeah. And who's this, Adam?
Okay. So this is, I'm forgetting his name.
Craig Miller.
Craig Miller. Okay. This is a great story, especially for everybody watching here who's likely heard some of our other stories. Okay, I'll play there's a famous clip we play on this show that I'll play here in a moment. But so we're talking to him, and I love, I always talk up these guys. I always want to buy something from these guys. They're working hard and they're doing this sort of thing. But I see Star Wars Memories, and of course, Star Wars Memories, it could be anybody. It could be Greedo, probably has a book. The person that played Greedo has a Star Trek or Star Wars Memories book. So, and Paul was like, okay, but what's your angle? What'd you do? And he goes, well, I was, and this is maybe one of the most legendary and unthought about positions in Star Wars because of what Star Wars invented, which is he was the very first fan relations person at Lucasfilm. So the second they had fans, they had a lot of fans. They went on a slow drip on Star Wars. So they needed someone right away. And he was a professional con goer and con organizer, I think, for other panels and stuff like that. And so they were just like, we need somebody to, answer fan mail. They weren't expecting fan mail. He had to answer fan mail. He had to, connect with all the cons and that sort of stuff. And then it ultimately became a bit of a publicist on the set of Empire Strikes Back. So you see behind him there is him, younger him, standing underneath the Millennium Falcon. And I mean, that makes him my hero. This is not, and it was wonderful when, they made The Force Awakens and Kevin Smith did that whole thing about going on the Millennium Falcon. Just reading about him crying at doing that made me cry, but that's the real Millennium Falcon. That's the real Hoth. And he is standing right there. So I was just like, but so then he starts, because Lucasfilm had not planned for this to become the biggest movie of all time with 2 future sequels and constant licensing and all this sort of stuff. Everything that didn't fall to Charles Lippincott, who's a name you may have heard, and he mentioned Lippincott a lot. And reading his book, I've already read the first chapter or so. Lippincott's one of the more important figures for Lucasfilm as well. But the stuff that Lippincott didn't deal with, which is like merchandising with Kenner and those the bigger presentations, stuff like that, fell to this guy. So we're talking to this guy, and he's revealing fun little projects, which I know all of because I'm a totally obsessed Star Wars fan. And then Paul, he says the magic words, and when he says the magic words, I go, "How much for the book?"
Yeah, and I went, "Oh no!"
Yeah. And I'll tell you what that is. He is the person who wrote and recorded this clip.
Till I ran into Ben Kenobi and Luke Skywalker, I had myself a pretty good little operation. They wanted to ride to Alderaan, and they're willing to pay enough so I didn't have to ask any questions. Now I'm in the middle of a rebellion. I'm spending half my time dodging Imperial ships and the other half avoiding Her Holiness. Not only that, but Jabba the Hutt's got a price on my head, and he's put Boba Fett on my trail. Something tells me it's not going to get any better when the Empire Strikes Back.
The Empire Strikes Back comes to a theater near you on May the 21st, 1980.
Call.
Yeah, and then that guy at the end, who he identified by name, call next month for another message. And he goes, "Oh no, that's so-and-so." He knew that guy that even says that at the end.
Oh, did I stop it too soon to hear that guy?
No, it's okay. It's not that interesting. But this was so legendary for me. And yes, and you guys know the story because I've told it before.
We talk about it all the time.
In the days before the internet, you had to tell people this existed, and everybody went, "I don't remember it," or "I don't know about that," or whatever. And then finally it showed up on, and we found out its journey to YouTube through him as well, that it finally showed up on YouTube. And that's the only way I could prove, yes, this thing existed. So, and I used to call it as a kid. I can 100 million trillion% picture exactly where I was standing, the color of the carpet, Vandalia, Ohio, orange kitchen carpet, the wooden stand with the yellow lamp on it, and my Stormtrooper action figure, which I would play on that, the tall Star Wars action figure, while listening on the phone, waiting to get through to listen to on the old, what were those phones that sat in the little cradle and they were like Labara soap, like one of those, and you pulled it up and it had the buttons in it. Or no, it was a dial for this one. But anyway, I could picture the whole thing listening to this message. And so when he said that, I was like, oh my God. I mean, that's just so legendary, and particularly for me. And so he signed my book. I guess we'll find out when The Empire Strikes Back. He wrote comes out, but I didn't tell him that. And it's a very enjoyable book. It's a very interesting behind the scenes, because there is so much behind the scenes in Star Wars that, yeah, taking care of all the fans. And, he went to the shooting of all the movies and stuff too. It's just like,
and creating the world where the fans would celebrate that there never was such a thing before. They weren't doing that for Young Frankenstein or whatever. Like Star Wars is a new deal.
And I'm sure, everybody listening knows that one of the great things about Lucasfilm was they said, well, how are we going to advertise this? Let's go to Comic-Cons. Nobody had done that for a movie. And that's where they got him. He's there setting up the very first, that famous one where they gave away the painted poster. Oh, the other thing was he wrote Bantha Tracks. So the newsletter, when you got Star Wars, he wrote, and suddenly he had to be a publisher because there was just so many ends to Star Wars. The other thing is he was the guy that, I don't know if you know the artist John Berkey. Okay, so these famous posters here, which are very, have kind of a cool very scratchy.
I have that book in my garage. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's John
It's the
Berkey.
Brian Daly book, right?
Yeah, and then this poster came with the fan club, and that is also art by John Berkey, who I love. He did the Orca poster, and anybody that read comic books in the 70s, for some reason, the poster for Orca was on the back of every comic book for like an entire year. So, just the fact that he had a relationship with John Berkey. I mean, this famous photo right here of them playing around in the hotel room, taken by him, because they're on a little press tour doing this or that, and he had to handle a lot of
I'll tell you the story he told us as well about, before we get too far away from that phone message. Cool. We always said, well, Harrison Ford did do that in one take, right? Because he doesn't.
That was the great thing.
Maybe that's because we're thinking of current grumpy Ford, who wouldn't just want to be around for more than one take.
Yeah.
It was confirmed he did it in two.
Two takes. In Harrison's house?
Yeah, he went around to each person's house and recorded these, so they didn't call him into a studio. I mean, it's just like ground floor stuff, that they just had never done before. You're not calling in to find out. You're not calling in for Rocky 2 to see what Rocky 2 is going to be about. Oh, I decided to mix it up with Apollo again, and a whole Star Wars is a whole new scene,
Yeah. So it's just the fact that Star Wars got to me in so many ways that he had a hand in. The phone number, the fan club, Bantha tracks, all these sort of things. I'm like, wow, it's like I feel a closer connection to this guy as a creator of some era, some part of Star Wars than I do, some of the other people who had, major impacts in it. But it is a major impact. Actually, I can't downplay.
That's true.
That it's everything. It really is everything. Like that fan outreach and keeping people in the know and having these things that reached out to people. He was in script meetings for the holiday special. So he has the section in here where he goes, the holiday special was originally 1 hour, and he goes, and the script for the 1 hour version was very good. It was a nice little ripping yarn, Star Wars style, 1 hour with commercials. And he goes, but they just kept adding and adding and adding, and everything they added is everything that everybody hates. He's like, yeah, once they got up to 2 hours, it was like, oh, this is not nowhere near as cool as what it originally was, which was this quick Star Wars tale with, the segments, there's a cartoon, is this and that, and then, and boom, 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 and we're out, but then it really fully adapted to the format of the time, which is what do you call it? Variety show,
And I have his card, so maybe down the line we'll get to do a full interview with him. And,
yeah, we're gonna have him on the show because
that's how it works. Cam met the guy at a con, got his card. Now we'll talk, and I don't know, maybe that'll be Patreon. We always joke about Patreon, but maybe we should start that damn Patreon and tease.
Well,
I asked with a feather that we'll talk to Craig Miller and go in depth.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I mean, at the very least, for 1923 and Shrinking and TV Ford, we always talked about doing old TV Ford. That's how long we've been doing the show already. Is like, we were talking about, we'll just do the stuff he did on TV as its own show, thinking the stuff from the 60s.
That it's a relic. Yeah, but it's not. It's relevant.
Oh, now we won't run out of TV Ford. It's like we could probably do it for a year now, just on what he's done on TV now. Well, and then Mosquito Coast TV show, the Presumed Innocent TV show. We've talked about going down those roads as well. Anything adapted.
You saw the John Wick thing at the top. That kind of encapsulates our week. So I think we can wrap it up. But I do want to give you two quick announcements. We appeared on, Adam, I should say, appeared on Settle the Score, which seems to be everyone's favorite show.
I'll bring clips next time.
What is that? How old are you? Real fun. Picture. You look like you're outside of the hair. You look like you're 10.
Hey man, I have a youthful appearance. Gosh, where is that from? I don't even know. When did I get? Oh, I know. Oh no, Paul, that's 3 months ago. Thank you for the compliment.
Oh, there you go.
That was just one I took in my kitchen that I was like, oh, I'm lit pretty well because I get these windows in the kitchen, and when I sit on the bench, it's like I'm lit from both sides, So it's like, I'll just send him this one. So that's actually recent.
Adam, look at me, but well, check you out.
Good.
So will Adam play better here than he did in Star Wars trivia? Well, yes, but will he win? Tune in and find out.
Yeah.
And then I was invited.
Real fun match too, man. Did you listen to it yet? Oh, I lost you.
because I am next to tape on that show. I've been called in for a date, so
okay.
I will.
Did you say
be on
you heard my appearance?
that. I did not.
Okay.
Did I say I had heard your appearance? No.
No, you broke up, so I couldn't tell how you answered.
Oh, I had not. No.
Yeah.
Did that happen a lot? I still have to plug in the cord.
Only twice during the script.
Okay. And also, the League of Cinephiles had me on their show a while back, and now they invited us both back for Directors Showcase, and we picked a show, and we picked a director to cover, and it was Adam McKay, figuring he's directed like 8 movies, so this will be an easy hour. You don't have to like go on forever about John Ford or something.
But also, Paul, when we picked him, I thought, oh my God, this is perfect because we have a unique connection to Adam McKay because we have been Adam McKay fans for 10 years before Anchorman. And I had even interviewed him back in the day. We knew everything about the younger days of Adam McKay in Second City. And that's got to be rare information to have on a director. You know, we were following Adam McKay long before he made movies.
Yeah, I think that whole first half hour is just kind of setting context as to how he got into out of Second City through SNL and into the movies.
And are you seeing up there on the right, Paul, is the very 2 first pictures you find of either of us when you search the internet.
Yeah, now that one is not recent for you.
No, that is
Hey, that one's
Schadenfreude, but that
15
one
years
pops up. That is the first one to pop up. Is Schadenfreude at the Gallery Cabaret in Chicago.
All right, so check those out. They're at themovieguys.net. Oh, do I have that? Hey, there it is. Themovieguys.net. I should put that up more often because that's where you can find all of our stuff.
Well, that's what's cool is because anything we've been on, you could just go there and find it because sometimes like when I go to YouTube and I'm like, oh, where was that? What was that show or whatever? Yeah, so I'm glad you put them all on there. It's nice one-stop shopping because we know so many people who are doing shows and sometimes we're like, oh, what was even the name of that one? I kind of sometimes I'll forget. If it's a while back.
The top of the page is the latest and then menus for everything. But beneath that are columns. One is the Ford Fiesta, one is radio and podcast appearances, and we have reviews, we have articles, we have Countdown to 5. Oh, Countdown to 5. Let me put that up too real quick.
Why, Paul, what is Countdown to 5?
Well, we just shot some stuff over the weekend, so my friend Sean Blodgett and I are looking at every indie movie specifically, so going in depth on indie movies 1 through 4. We did an intro episode you can find at themovieguys.net right now. Get what the idea of our whole show is going to be and how much we love Indiana Jones. And then we will get on to Raiders, Temple, Crusade, Crystal Skull, and then one show after we see Dial of Destiny. So that's it. Quick 6-episode thing. You're not in for a long haul. Easy peasy, and just from 2 big fans. But one thing we decided to do this year, because we did a countdown to 9, where we were counting down to Star Wars Episode 9. It was very similar. Adam, you appeared on that.
Yeah.
And one thing we decided to do differently was we were doing recaps kind of like we do here with all the jokes and bits and stuff.
Yeah.
We decided to have Indiana Jones recap his own adventures on our show. So that's something to look forward to. We shot that last weekend.
So it's all in first person? I did this,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
so I went.
I found
me
myself
and Ben
in-
Kenobi. And
Till I ran into Ben Kenobi and Luke Skywalker.
Exactly.
call next week for Countdown to 5. Yeah.
And of course, at the Movie Guys everywhere, we've managed to scoop up at the Movie Guys, except even YouTube. I think now. I think we used to be the Movie Guys online, but we stick around. Other people come and go, and when they do, we take their handles. So, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I believe YouTube. You can find everything we're up to. All right, is that all, Adam?
I believe that's it.
That's enough. I
believe
mean, I
we've
got
said it
more
all.
shit here, but
We've said
and next
too
week
much.
I won't be here, so I don't know what you're going to do, Adam. Looks like there's a.
We could do an entire show dedicated to the Zabriskie report. The Zabriskie.
It's Zabriskie point.
Zabriskie point.
Here,
The Zabriskie
Cam
report.
Chef knows Matt Knutson, who's
Ah.
on Shrinking. Bring him in. Talk to him, and there you go.
Cool. Nice. Yeah,
Little
please.
something.
That'd be fun.
So that's all for now. In the meantime, we don't have a sign off line, do we? In the meantime,
No. But there's got to be a Harrison Ford line that's a perfect sign off.
fortune
right?
and glory, kid.
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory. We got that one in here somewhere, don't we?
Fortune and glory, Adam.
Fortune and glory.
If you were to remember nothing else as you begin your deliberations, remember Wendell's words. My mommy hurt my head. My mommy hurt my head. My mommy hurt my head.
1, 2, 3!
I forgot this is the shit one. All right, we'll play something else.
기린ラゲビールください。キリンラガーね、そこから取ってください。焼きそばちょっと待ってください。あ、栓抜き柱にあります。あ、今行きます。あ、グラス、あっち。ミスタービール、キリンラガービール。どうも、これサービス。
SCTV, your comedy channel.
Rusty, I want you to show me what you did to your teacher.
All right, T. Whoa, ho, ho.
Here's Child.